Hi everyone and welcome back to another Rainbow Six video. Today I'll be giving some quick tips on playing all the FBI operators both for attack and defense, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. So today's video is part 2 of 5 parts of my Rainbow Six operator tips by counter-terrorist units, or CTU for short. 2 weeks ago I covered the SAS operators in their own video, and now in this video we'll be covering the FBI operators. If you've watched my previous video on the SAS operators, then you'll know that these videos will focus on my thoughts and tips on playing the operators effectively from each of the original available CTUs. The plan is not to go into too much depth of each operator and their guns, but just cover them very briefly, how I like to play each operator in terms of their gadgets, and what I think is a good way of playing them to effectively win rounds. The main goal of these guides is to help new players decide which operators they want to purchase first, since renown is precious at the beginning, and also to give them some tips on how to play each operator effectively. These tips may even be helpful for seasoned players who maybe haven't got a chance to try out certain operators, so stay tuned and maybe you'll learn something. As with all other original CTUs in Rainbow Six Siege, there are 4 operators in the FBI CTU, 2 in attack and 2 in defense, and these are Thermite, Ash, Pulse and Castle. To start off, let's talk about the attacking operators first. I slightly prefer Thermite over Ash, so I'll start with Thermite first. Because Thermite is so important and many players can agree to this, I'm actually going to spend a little bit longer time giving my tips for playing him. Thermite is the one attacking operator that I think everyone should have, all because of his exothermic charge, and that is his special gadget by the way. He was the only operator who could blow up reinforcements until the recent update that brought Hibana to the game. But even after she was added, Thermite is still the number 1 pick for making holes in reinforced walls, since he can fully blow up 2 reinforcements, whereas Hibana's grenade launcher can only make at most 1 hole big enough to go through and another hole to shoot through. A good tip for playing Thermite is to play a passive game if possible, and slowly try to make your way toward the objective room safely. The reason for this is that you are then in a good position to try to blow up key reinforced walls to make it that much harder for your enemies to defend the room. Sometimes the objective room has outer walls around it, and in this case it is often important for Thermite to bring these walls down, because then the attacking team can snipe from outside relatively safely, and it is very hard for the defenders to really do anything about it. Doing this will put the attacking team in a massive advantage for that round. Typically, these walls will probably be defended by Mute's jammers or Bandit's batteries, and so you'll likely want to have a Thatcher EMP those if you can. If you have a Hibana in your team, you can let her handle the reinforced hatches above the objective room, otherwise you can do it yourself too if you feel that it is important to open up that line of sight for your team. To play Thermite effectively, good map knowledge is a must, since you will often want to know which walls are key to helping you win the round. After all, you only have 2 exothermic charges, so don't give up hope on Thermite if you sometimes feel you couldn't get off those good exothermic charges, because this will improve once you have more map knowledge and experience with the game. So that's about it for Thermite. Basically just try to stay alive and get near the objective room, blow up outer reinforced walls or key walls, have good map knowledge and experience with the game, and you'll drastically improve your team's odds in the round as Thermite. Moving on to Ash, Ash's strength lies in her versatility in dealing with enemy defenses with her grenade launcher, as well as her high move speed, because as it turns out, having a high move speed in this game is a big advantage for the operator. Before I talk about how I like to play her, let's talk about the uses of a grenade launcher first, since it is such a versatile grenade launcher. She can open up lines of sight from afar safely, and this can sometimes be crucial because defenders might be camping and waiting around the corner, or it might just be more time efficient to do it from afar and allow you and your team to snipe. She can also use her grenade launcher to take out barbed wire and deployable shields that defenders put down. And a common trick for the defenders is to barricade a window with castle barricades and having a mute jammer on the inside of the window. This effectively makes it very difficult for attackers to go through that key window if they don't have an Ash or Sledge to take out the barricade. Since any breaching charge will not work on the barricade, the attackers will need to melee the castle barricade 12 times before it breaks, and this will often attract a lot of attention and waste a lot of time as well. One charge from Ash's grenade launcher solves this problem in seconds, and so it is a very powerful and versatile grenade launcher indeed. When playing Ash, I feel it is good to try to work together with the team and methodically push toward the objective, taking care of the defenses the defenders laid out one by one along the way. Rainbow Six Siege is a team game after all. Sometimes, depending on the situation, it might be safer and often a better choice to attack from a different direction. Maybe you realize that the other side of the building is less defended, or perhaps your enemies are fixated toward your direction and you want to surprise them from a different side. Ashe can do these flanking moves very effectively while her team continues to pressure from the original direction. Being a high move speed operator, Ashe moves quickly and quietly, and so she can very efficiently move into position from the other direction. As roamers are a big part of the metagame right now, it might sometimes be a good idea to try to clear the building of roamers first, before trying to siege on into the objective room. Ashe is great for this job too, since she can move quickly and can cover more ground that way. And so yeah, that's about it for how I think Ashe could be played effectively. Basically work with your team and use your grenade launcher to take out key defenses as you move toward the objective. Occasionally you might need to try to flank the enemy or clear out the roamers, and Ashe is great for these jobs as well. Now, let's move on to the FBI defense operators, Pulse and Castle. I'll start with Pulse first, since I slightly prefer Pulse over Castle. Pulse's strength lies in his ability to know where enemies are within 9 meters of his cardiac sensor, and hence react accordingly. If you've watched my SAS video, you'll know how powerful the C4 gadget is, and Pulse has access to it too, and I would say it is one of the reasons why he is as good as he is. Because of how versatile Pulse is with his cardiac sensor, I will focus more on that in this video, and you can watch Mute's section in my SAS video for more details on the C4 gadget, since it will be mostly the same anyways. You can find the link to the video in the description below, or click the I button at the top right and you should find a link to that video there too. The function of the cardiac sensor is quite self-explanatory. Basically, it can detect enemies behind walls and even those on different floors up to 9 meters away from Pulse. As you know, intelligence in this game is everything. Knowing where the enemy is allows you to prepare yourself, and you should almost always have the advantage in the engagement. When playing Pulse, you will probably need an even higher amount of map knowledge than average to really make full use of this cardiac sensor. Because even though you can see where an enemy is through the wall, but you don't know the map well enough, it will still be difficult for you to engage properly, since you would not know the optimal way to get to the enemy. So having very good map knowledge is very key here. With the cardiac sensor, Pulse can both roam or hold the objective effectively. It really comes down to your personal playstyle on which role you prefer to play. Say you like holding the objective with Pulse, I think he's the strongest at holding objective rooms which has outer walls or windows that lead right outside. Preferably, the attackers don't have a lot of space to maneuver around the objective as well. A good example of these kinds of objective room would be like the library room in Chyill. Since the ledge outside the room is very small, when you use your cardiac sensor to scan in the general direction of the ledge from inside the room, you will definitely know where and how many enemies are standing up there, and this will give you the advantage when you have to engage with them. When roaming with Pulse, it is probably the most effective to roam nearer to the objective, maybe hide in a small room near the objective room, and use his cardiac sensor to know when people are coming, and then ambush them as they try to attack into the objective room. I think that roaming far away from the objective room is not as ideal as Pulse, because when attackers are far away from the objective room, they are naturally more vigilant, since they want to make sure that there are no roamers that could come from behind them while they make their way towards the objective room. Their full attention will usually be focused towards flushing out roamers, and you are likely to die if there's more than one attacker looking for you. When they are nearer the objective room though, their attention will be split, since they need to worry about the larger amount of defenders that are likely to be defending near the objective. This will make them a bit more careless, maybe not checking all the rooms thoroughly when they should, and you can take advantage of this and surprise them that way. What's more, you will also be nearer to the objective room, and you will be able to react accordingly if things don't go as planned, and the attackers manage to capture the objective room. So that's about it for Pulse. Basically try to play him in maps that you know really well. If you only use him in the objective room, he's better in rooms that has outer walls or windows with little space for attackers to maneuver outside. And if you roam with him, try roaming nearby the objective room rather than further away. Be creative with the usage of C4s and you should be good to go. Finally, let's talk about Castle. Castle's strength lies in his ability to fortify a room with his bulletproof barricades and deployable shield. Choosing impact grenades works well too, for the same reason it works well with smoke. So if you want to learn more about using impact grenades correctly as Castle, you can watch Smoke's section in my SAS video, where I talk in more detail about how and when to use impact grenades. You can find the link to the SAS video in the description below, or by clicking the I button at the top right. But of course, only do that after you've finished watching this video. Onto his bulletproof barricades, I think that it is better used on certain key windows that if there was an attacker standing outside of, will allow the attacker to lock down an entire key section or an entire key area of the objective room, where most of your team would need to move through. The reason for this is that you don't want your enemies to get free pickings on your team, as your team is trying to move about when they need to reposition or when they're trying to react to something else somewhere else. Even though the barricade is not invincible, at least it is sturdier, and it may sometimes deter the enemies from destroying it if it would take up too much of their time. Perhaps it could also channel them and make them come toward the objective from a direction which is easier to handle and defend. In high traffic areas, it is best not to castle barricade doorways, since you would want it to be easy for your teammates to move about and defend against attackers coming from different directions. I often see people castle barricade the doorways leading into the objective room, but this is usually a bad idea. The reason this is a bad idea is because if there is any other way into the room and the attackers manage to come in and control the room, the surviving defenders will have a tougher time trying to get back in, and you wouldn't want that since every second matters in this game. The only time it might be okay to use it on objective room doors is maybe when your team has a number advantage and the remaining attackers have no quick and easy way through castle barricades. I mentioned earlier about channeling the enemy toward a certain path. Sometimes it can be a good idea to use the castle barricade further away from the objective room at certain doorways. That way it might deter enemies from taking a certain path to the objective, and you have less angles to defend from. You have no idea how often people autopilot while playing, and are more inclined to take the path of least resistance, so this could be helpful to your team, although in this case, is it really the path of least resistance? Onto his deployable shield, I typically use it to allow me to defend the objective room from a safe corner for a lot longer than I could without it. After all, Castle doesn't really have a lot of roaming potential, and so he should usually be camping in the objective room when possible. Sometimes though, in objective rooms where there is only one window entrance, I put the deployable shield perpendicular to the window, and this can stop enemies from vaulting in completely, unless they destroy the shield first. This works quite well most of the time because they need a frag grenade or an ash to efficiently take it out, or if they blow up the barricade with a breaching charge instead of knocking it down with melee hits, then that would take it out too. A Jaeger gadget put in a good place near the window will make it so frag grenades wouldn't work, and hence limit the attacker's options of getting into the room through that window. And so that's about it for Castle. Basically put his barricades on key windows at certain doorways, depending on how you'd like to defend the objective. Avoid putting it on objective room doors. Use deployable shields to fortify your corner in the objective room or to block off a window entry. Be creative with impact grenades should you choose to use them, and see your enemy struggle to attack the objective. A quick bonus tip, since castle barricades are bulletproof, you have to be extra careful of fuse if you use it on objective room windows, since it might be a bit difficult to take out fuse cluster charge behind your barricade. So that's about all I have to say about the FBI operators. I hope you found the video useful and enjoyed watching it. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. More gaming related video content will follow, whether it be Rainbow Six or any other game that I enjoy playing. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out my other videos as well. I would greatly appreciate any and all support. Thank you so much for watching the video, and until next time guys, have a great day, keep gaming, stay chill, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.